coach just draws a play up, and then we execute for the most part when they have timeouts. But we're poised in those situations. We believe in each other. We know we're confident in each other. And I know when I have the ball, I feel like I can do anything with the ball, and my teammates feel the same way. So I think we're just getting better in those type of situations where we're just poised and not in a rush, and everything slows down for us.
Yeah, when we had the timeout with 21, we just said, they don't have a timeout left, and we have a foul to give to Jay because we knew Carmelo would have the ball, and Jay did a great job of timing it appropriately. And then, with the last shot, we were in our little zone, and Carmelo just posted up the top of our zone, which was a really good play because he can shoot over our guards. But Jay did a good job of distracting him, and Marcus did a good job of forcing a very difficult shot.
All right, part 2 of the Garden Report is here. Let's take a look again at that Avery Bradley play that we showed you at the end of part 1. It was beautiful. They set it up that it kind of looked like it could have been a dribble handoff to Turner. Turner kind of fakes a cross screen. The Bradley just flies at the rim. Lance Thomas kind of defended it perfectly, took a lot of contact, and Bradley still was able to finish that shot. I mean, that was an incredible ATO. Yet again, Stevens finishes a game, 3rd time this week, that they basically win a game on a key ATO play in the final minute.
Just when you think they're going to go right, they go left. We were talking about it in between, before the play happened. We were like, Evan Turner or Isaiah Thomas? Who's it going to be?
I said they're going to go to Avery Bradley on this one.
Oh, did you say that?
Yeah, I was shocked that they actually did it.
I thought you were being sarcastic because Avery Bradley.
No, he was serious. Like he was so cold the whole game. He didn't do anything. That's exactly that's when Stevens goes to Bradley on that final play. Did the same thing with the Cleveland game, and it worked.
If you were on the Knicks bench as a coach, you guys would have been ready for that. But it was.
I could probably coach. Oh, we'll get that.
Well, it was just another great ATO play from Brad. I mean, he's had so many of them this year. It's getting to the point where it's become like must-see television. I think if you go on Twitter, it's like, get to a TV, the Celtics are coming out of a timeout. Let's see what they have drawn up here at the end of this game. They're just really creative, and I think that's one thing that the NBA lacks a lot of times with some of these coaches, and some of these coaches that maybe have been around the game for a while, and they run out of ideas, or they just here, hand it to the star. And it's kind of what the Knicks did at the end of their game. They just handed it to Melo and chucked up a break.
So before I take that great segue, thank you for that segue. First, just on Stevens' ATO plays.
Okay.
I feel like Stevens likes to try to set a fake trend where like he'll run a few ATO plays in a few games in a row where they're really complex, lots of screens to set up a shooter popping out somewhere.
Watching it on film.
Then everyone's like, all right, it's going to be really complex. We're going to keep the weak side open. Then on this one, it's literally just like pass it into Avery Bradley, and then he just drives at the hoop.
Yep.
And they ran a bunch of actions to make it seem like it was going to be complicated. But in the end, it was a pretty simple play. And I think Bradley Stevens likes to kind of mix it up in different waves and try to make someone think it's going to be really complex and it's really a simple one, and then back and forth.
It's a game of chess.
Yeah, the guy is 2 steps ahead of everybody there. So the next coaching situation. I thought this game, you saw it rear its ugly head there, where clearly firing Derek Fisher didn't really fix anything because we talked about that Melo thing in the first part of the show where Melo wasn't really paying attention. He let Jay Crowder fly past him. That was just like atrocious by Melo.
Melo being Melo?
But then exactly. But then that's I think it's more of a Melo problem than anything, but it still is coaching. But in the last 3 minutes of the game, the Knicks offense was just it was basically just relying on Melo to make a play. And then
they were playing to not lose. They weren't playing to win.
And and Melo did have a great shot that kind of bounced in with less than a minute left that kept them in the game.
Yeah, that was a great shot.
But then when Melo got,
no, I was talking about the fadeaway.
That one was great too. But when they needed a crucial basket to keep the lead, Melo gets covered up. They can't get it to him, so they dump it down to Robin Lopez. Lopez backs down. I think it was Solinger for like 10 seconds, and then he throws up an airball hook shot. That was the play that they lost because they were going back and forth, but they had the upper hand. They lost that upper hand in the back and forth, and it was just so shocking to see that they didn't have a second option in case they couldn't give the ball to Melo and ISO. That's like all they can come up with at the end of the game. There's no ATO ability, none of that. Then on that last play, when Melo had 15 seconds almost.
Where was Porzingis on that play?
Yeah, so Porzingis didn't play most of the second half. I don't know what happened there. I actually have to rewatch it, but he wasn't involved in the play anywhere. The whole play was to give him ISO on Jay Crowder, who's one of the best on-ball defending threes in the game, one of the best defensive wings in the game. And Melo's backing him down. They don't have a timeout left, but the Celtics hadn't committed a foul in that quarter. So that means there's 2 fouls until they go to the line, so they have that take foul. Jay Crowder so Melo waits until there's like 4 seconds left before he makes a move. That's when Jay Crowder fouls him. And then they have to start all over again with 3.3 seconds left.
Yep.
And they didn't have a play to run at that point. Every team has like a
They didn't have
go-to
a
play.
timeout left
Yeah,
either,
they have a
so-
timeout left. But every team knows, all right, 4 seconds left. We got to run this play. They didn't have it. They just passed it to Melo from 35 feet out, and he takes a terrible shot over Marcus Smart that I saw someone tweet almost went in. That did not almost go
No.
in. That was a terrible brick. But the Knicks just were not prepared to handle an actual competitive end of the game.
No, they didn't come into it like, whereas like if we're in this situation, we want to do this. You know, they didn't have a timeout, so they couldn't obviously draw anything up like that. But they didn't have any idea what to do going into that. There was no plan. There was no, hey, if this happened, here's plan A, plan B, plan Z in these situations. I'm under the impression that Brad Stevens, his guys have a plan. They have a plan. They know what to do in certain situations. They know who to go to. They know where to look to. They're not just heaving up to. Well, the other thing is they don't have a Carmelo. The Celtics don't have Carmelo Anthony, so they're much more inclined to run a play for the open man than just give it to the superstar in ISO and hope for the best.
And even when Isaiah is going like quote unquote ISO, they're still running. It's
Yeah.
not just clearing out for him. They almost never clear out for Isaiah.
And
he gets pick and rolls. He
Right.
gets all sorts of stuff like that.
And he's just a completely different type of player where he's a lot smaller than Melo, so he can't do what Melo did, which is
Yeah.
stand there with the ball, because he will get blocked in that situation. So that's another difference in I guess the superstar of each team.
Yeah. Well, the Celtics are a well-coached team. Who would have thought that?
Yeah.
So are they well-coached enough to catch the Toronto Raptors? They're almost as close to the Raptors as they are. Is my breath that bad? They're almost as close to
just
the
the
Raptors
question
as
is
they
like,
are
whoa.
to the 9 seed.
Yeah.
So, can they pull off a comeback against the Raptors with what it could be a pretty
Raptors or
tough
Cavs?
strength of schedule? Do you think they can catch the Cavs?
I don't know if they can catch the Cavs.
The Cavs would have to lose every game.
The
pretty
Cavs
much.
need to implode, and I feel like they're on the cusp of imploding.
Uh-huh.
So that would need to happen for the Celtics to have a chance. But the Raptors are a very good team. It's not going to be easy for them to do it. I think they're 4.5 behind the Raptors, so that's 5 games right there. I mean, and they got 3 games on the Raptors, and they've lost all 3. So the Raptors need to go on a little bit of a losing streak. I think the Raptors are better than the Cavs, to be completely honest. I think if the two meet in the playoffs, the Raptors are going to end up beating the Cavs because I think the Cavs are fragile mentally. I think you go down the line of every player on that team, and there's something that they're upset about, or that there's some kind of drama surrounding each player on the Cavs. Raptors don't seem to have that. Celtics definitely don't have that. I'm not sure if they can catch them in the regular season, but if you hit the Cavs at the right time, I think in the playoffs you can knock them in the mouth, make them start to question each other and
Bleed from the nose a little
yeah,
bit.
bleed from the nose definitely. Make them question each other in the locker room, create a little havoc. The Celtics, they've done damage to LeBron James in the playoffs in the past. He's done damage to them, but they've done damage to him. They can do it again. He hates playing here. This place gives him the heebie-jeebies, I think. So you knock him in the
I
mouth.
think that's how we describe it too.
Yeah, I think he would too. Saturday night, depending on when you're watching this, tonight is going to be an interesting game, just like the last one was. Celtics will give the Cavs trouble. They will make it interesting at the end of the season. I don't know if they'll catch either team, but they will make it interesting.
If
That's a cop-out answer.
If the Celtics weren't on such fire right now, I would say that I think they're going to win this game in Cleveland. But they're so hot that usually there's a law of averages that brings you back down.
And you go down
But
big to the Cavs.
Cleveland
tough.
seems
They did
ripe
it
for a
earlier,
home
but-
loss right now. They really do. I think that the fact that there's that extra motivation of losing to the Bradley shot last time they were in Cleveland is probably going to give them a little pick-me-up. But it seems like Kevin Love could fall out of this system really quickly. They don't seem happy. The whole thing with Kyrie Irving wanting to get traded, I think that's significantly overblown.
Yeah.
The guy probably was just like pissed off after one game, and someone saw that and they're like,
The
"All right, let's report
LeBron
it."
tweets, though.
That's a trade.
The
But yeah,
LeBron tweets
Yeah.
are something else. I
They
don't
are.
know what to think of those. If I'm a Cleveland Cavaliers fan right now, I'm shaking in my boots. I don't know what that's because he can opt out.
yeah.
He can
You
opt
can.
out. Those tweets
Well-
were very cryptic. He wouldn't discuss them. It's kind of it's a lowbrow situation. It's
think-
like, what are you doing?
LeBron's at the
Are
point
you
where
like a high school girl,
Yeah.
like these cryptic little notes?
I think LeBron's at the point where it should be he just calls out the people that need to be called out and just get it all out there, and then they're either going to be a great team out of it and they're going to barnstorm and give the Warriors or Spurs a run for their money in the title game, or they're going to lose to the Raptors when they get DeMar Carroll back, and it's going to be a Raptors NBA
I'm telling
Finals.
you, I think the Raptors are in the finals. if it's not the Celtics,
Yeah.
it's the Raptors.
The Raptors are really good. It's hard to imagine them making the NBA Finals. They don't seem like a team that's good enough to make the finals. But then again,
But it's the
Orlando
East.
didn't seem like
It's
it in
the
09,
East.
and they still made it. So
I don't
if
think the
LeBron's
Raptors-
team can implode, then anybody, there's always that
I
vacuum.
don't think the Raptors can win the finals. I think that's wrapped up
Yeah.
already. But I think that they can put up a good fight for sure and get
All right.
there.
Well, we'll tune back in 3 months from now, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Please tune in for the next episode as well. So that's going to do it for us, for Jimothy, and for Jeremy behind the camera. I'm Jared Weiss. Catch you on the flip side. Garden Report, CLNS
Peace.
Radio, Celtics blog. Peace.
You can catch Toronto for second place.
Anything can happen. Anything. Especially with this team. We're going to continue to, we're going to try to. I mean, we're going to play every game like it's our last and try to get the highest seed possible.
We really don't care who gets the credit for the most part. And, we all have fun and we all have guys who are all ready to go. You know what I'm saying? Ready to play. And each night, it could be somebody else saving the game. So that's a huge thing. And I think, especially when you can lose yourself inside something bigger,